Welcome to Housing for Good, a podcast dedicated to housing topics and issues affecting our communities in McPherson County and beyond. With years of experience and expertise, hosts Chris Goodson and Karolyn Moore discuss housing challenges and opportunities with other experts from a variety of housing fields.
Chris, you know, something that we have been having more and more of is phone calls from seniors in our community. And not only is it difficult if you're a senior on limited income, but if you're disabled, it makes it even more of a compound for affordable rent and then rentals that you can get in and out of because they're set up for you with your disability.
Yeah, that really has been a problem. It was kind of surprising at first when we started getting more calls from seniors because, you know, you think they're established. You assume that they're established, they own their own home, or they're in a rental property, or they have some money put away. But with inflation and their limited income, it's just not enough. I mean, they're really starting to struggle when your rent continues to go up every single year and your check that you get from their Social Security is staying the same or going up at a very small increase. It's not enough. And having homeless seniors is really a problem because think about their illnesses that they get and their medications that they need and the things they might need, supports in their bathrooms and their kitchens and grab bars and wheelchair ramps, and we're not prepared for that.
We're not. You know, we've helped with a few wheelchair ramps with Brush Up Mac and with the veterans group that helps us install those. But yeah, it's getting to be more and more of an issue. And, you know, your son has a disability. He can get around, but there's still an issue there that needs his rent to stay where it's affordable. And their income just does not go up. I received a phone call from a woman who is disabled and she is going to find herself homeless at the beginning of next month. I had to tell her, I spoke with her a little bit, but then I visited with her about Edinburgh Manor and Northgate Manor, because, you know, both of those places are set up to help seniors. And I think all of their housing is set up for people with disabilities. So you can have a walker or a wheelchair and still be able to get in and get around in their little duplexes. Anyway, that's just been on my mind lately.
Yeah. And we need people to be aware of that because, I mean, I think that we think that people that are homeless have drug addictions or that they're mental illness or lots of these different things, and we don't consider the fact that some of these people may have a real disability. They may be seniors. They may have all these other issues, and we're not thinking about that and we're not addressing that, and we need to really start looking at that. In order to do that, people need to be aware and start talking about it. Having those conversations around these topics is really important.
It is very important. For anyone that's listening to this podcast, you know, the rent that you pay for rent and utilities should not be any more than 30% of your income. Because if it is, you're running into an issue where even one minor situation can throw you now in a situation where you are teetering on the brink of, am I looking at eviction? Am I going to be able to pay my bills? And that gets even harder for us as we age and we go on to Medicare and Medicaid, and all of a sudden you're on a fixed income. Even if you are with Medicaid and Medicare and then you have disability, your situation is no better. It breaks my heart when people tell me, well, the answer is I'm just going to go on disability. Okay, well, that is not an answer.
No.
Because you will not be able to support yourself on the funds you have.
And unfortunately, what's adding to that is our Section 8 vouchers. You know, we've got waiting lists for that. Well, if I'm homeless, I can't wait 6 months to a year to up to 2 years for a Section 8 voucher to help pay my rent. And not all landlords are willing to take those vouchers because they've had bad experiences or they think that there's too much government overreach. And so they're afraid to really find out, what is that voucher about? Well, it means a guaranteed income for you, and it means the person who has the voucher has a decent place to live where they only have to pay a percentage of their rent toward that.
Yeah,
income toward their rent.
I don't think people realize that just because you get a Section 8 voucher doesn't mean that you automatically have housing. I think that they have in their mind, well, once I get this, my problems are all solved. But the truth of the matter is, unless it's a HUD-supported landlord situation, HUD-supported housing, they don't have to accept that voucher.
No, so that's very
Now, I
good.
do know that Edinburgh and Northgate, thankfully, both do. But honestly, once you get a house at a duplex at one of those places, the only reason you're leaving there is either you can no longer live on your own, so you need more of an assisted living facility, or you have now unfortunately passed away. That's another thing. I know we're building in McPherson, they're building more senior housing, but last I heard there was a wait limit for that.
Yeah.
A waiting list.
There's always a waiting list for
Yeah.
any type of affordable housing that we have, or low-income housing that we have in our communities throughout the country, let alone throughout where we're living. In my particular circumstance, my son and his wife are both disabled, and we are fortunately had the means to buy a home that we rent to him very, very affordably, and so they're going to be fine, and the house will just pass down within the family to make sure that they're always have a great place to live. But we did that knowing what was going on, and I could easily have a child and his wife homeless if we didn't have all this support within
Yeah.
our family. So, I mean, we're very, very fortunate that we were able to do that, but not everybody can do that.
Do you have any idea for like disability supports or MCDFs? I know they have built some housing. Do you have any idea how full those houses are?
I do not know. I know that you have to be part of their programs to do that, and even they've had wait lists in the past to get into their housing. So if you're part of their programs, you can live in their housing, and then of course you would pay 30% of your income toward your rent and utilities. But as far as I know, there has been some waiting lists. They're not all taking new clients. Again, that's another situation that's very, very stressed. And so there's lots of people who need assistance who are not able to get it, or if you can't get into a program, maybe that program's not right for you. Not all programs work for everybody. So maybe if that doesn't work, then how are you going to, it's just very complicated.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult and then we have just people who are disabled who don't have advocates who can help them. So that's also a problem, is if they don't have an advocate who can speak to them and to try to help them get that housing and what else they need, it's really, really hard. Yeah, it's very complex.
Yeah.
Very, very complex.
You hear all the time about the federal government is throwing more money at housing. And I know KHRC and Ryan Vincent had a big announcement not long ago about more housing to try to help combat the homelessness. Do you know, on a federal level, are they doing anything to increase the funding towards people with disabilities or senior housing?
I think I haven't heard anything specifically for that. They are trying to address low-income housing across the country. I think that's a huge push right now, and I'm happy to see that because, it's kind of like a trickle-down thing. If you can get more and more housing, then maybe that'll lower the cost for all of us. But we have such a need that who knows how many houses have to be built, how many homes we have to have in order for that to happen. I don't know that. We could do some research and talk about that later on, what that looks like at the federal level, what HUD is doing and what Congress and the Senate is doing to help with the housing issues. That could be a really interesting topic.
And depending on the type of housing they build, maybe it's disability accessible, maybe it's not. Mm-hmm. I just met with a couple. They're elderly and they're living at Prairie Point. And they are not currently disabled, but if something changes in their situation, their bedrooms are all upstairs, which means all of a sudden they can't access their sleeping area, and trying to find another place to move them, that's what I think a lot of our seniors and our disabled folks are facing, is if you have to move, can you move in such a way that you can meet the timetable that is being foisted upon you, whether that's your health or, situation with the landlord?
Yeah, so we just want the community to be aware of what is going on with our people that are seniors, that are disabled, those with all types of disabilities. We just want you to know and be aware of that. Pay attention to what's going on throughout the country with people with disabilities, and try and advocate for them when you can. Maybe there's an opportunity that you know someone who is disabled and could use somebody to help them. We would just encourage you to do that.
You know, another note that I see we have is that a lot of times the shelters are not disability accessible. Even our own Oak Harbor Cottages emergency shelter, they are not accessible to somebody that's in a wheelchair. They are not accessible to somebody with a walker. And so depending on the disability, that can be really challenging. I'm thinking that even the women and children's shelter that the Omega program runs, I think even that there are some stairs involved. So that's another thing, that when people are designing facilities, something to keep in mind, either a ramp of some sort or zero entry level would be something to keep in mind there.
Yeah.
So those little houses we're building, I think the 1 bedrooms are zero entry.
They're pretty close to zero. I think
Yeah.
there could be one step in that porch.
Okay.
But it's all on one level. Everything is wider. We have grab bars in very important places in the bathroom in different areas.
Yeah.
And we will have seniors in there that can say to us, hey, can you think about this or can you do that? And there may be some things that we even missed that we may have to go back in and make sure that we're taking that into consideration and that we're making those accommodations.
Well, and I know we just placed, the American Legion, my helpers from there, just placed a very small ramp, if that's what you want to call it. It basically is a threshold that goes from zero at the porch up like 2 inches so this woman can get into her house. So I know they make them, and we may have to look at something like that for our porches there.
Yeah, so something else we want to talk about, we'll get on to something else here. This year, we're going to have our 4th annual McPherson County Housing Conference. It's for everybody in McPherson County, and maybe you live in Salina or Hutch or Wichita, and you want to come down to hear some of our speakers that we have. You're invited to come. We'd love to have you there to hear some of the people that are coming, and it'll be a great day. Lots of information, lots of people. Karolyn, who's coming to our conference?
Every year I think we cannot beat the speakers that we just had. But I'm really excited about these speakers this year. So we're going to have Department of Commerce. Tim Zimmerman and Kelly Hansen are going to come and talk about how Department of Commerce can help you bring businesses into your community. And during the same time, on the housing stability side of our conference, we're going to have NAMI, which is National Association of Mental Illness. Taylor Nelson is going to come and talk about mental health and what you as a coworker, family member, friend can do to support somebody who is struggling with mental health issues. And honestly, everybody struggles with mental health right now. Mm-hmm. It's a big issue. Then back over on the development track, we're going to have someone from the EPA, Tony Pierce is going to come and talk about lead-based paint. Did you know that if your house is, when did they do lead-based paint? Back in the 70s and prior?
Yes. Anything after 78 or 79, I can't remember the exact year, but anything before that is probably going to have lead-based paint.
So if your house was built then and everything was painted, and even though you've come in and maybe the walls have been repainted, that lead-based paint is still in your house, and that lead can still eke out of surfaces and still impact you as a woman. I think actually it can impact everybody, but what Tony said last time I heard him talk was women and children are most vulnerable. So even if you think, oh, well, my house is 80 years old, but we don't have any lead-based paint, we've never used that, it's on the original surfaces and it can still cause you issues. So Tony's going to come and talk to us about that. And then Robert De Leon with Unitas. Do you remember this organization?
I love this organization. I'm very excited to hear about Unitas. I think every agency from government to nonprofits should belong to Unitas. It would make things so much easier for our families if they could come to one location, sit down with somebody. They could find out what is going on with the family. They plug it into their program. It goes out, and anybody that provides the services they need, they get a referral, and off we move. Instead of having people running around with chickens with their heads cut off, going from here to here to here to here. I can't wait. I hope McPherson County will finally pick this up.
Yeah, I'm excited about Robert also. And then a big thing that we've been working, can you believe we've been working on the housing study for over a year and a half?
Wow.
Well, yeah, maybe almost 2 years actually. Marty Schukert with RDG is going to come and present the housing study that his organization has been working on for us. And he's going to let us know what each community in McPherson County needs in regards to housing, so that that community can make a decision about what they want to do and what's going to be best. But his trends are going to show, they're going to give recommendations based upon what they see for growth, development, those kinds of things. He's going to be our keynote speaker. And so we'll have lunch and then we'll get to listen to Marty. And then for the afternoon, this is another really exciting thing, and it's perfect with Marty being here for that housing study, because we're going to have some folks that are in the development and real estate side of the picture come in and talk about what's going on as far as housing development, who's investing in housing, what's being done. And then the other side of that is some real estate agents. Apparently there's some changes coming to the rules.
There is some changes, and they're coming pretty quickly, and so it's going to be really good for us to understand how that affects us as a consumer when we're purchasing a home. So I think that's going to be a really good topic as well, finding out exactly what's changed, how does it affect me, is it affecting me at all?
Yeah.
What does that look like, and what does that do for the consumer? So I'm excited about both of those. We got some great developers. The one in Lindsborg, Derek Lee has done some great things. We've got somebody coming from Marquette and Inman talking about what they're doing. This is really a county-wide housing conference. It's just not all about just one city. It's about all of the cities.
Yeah.
And we've some really great things have come out of this conference, like the housing study that we're doing. People are starting to be aware, city officials, county officials, nonprofits. I think everybody's kind of on board now saying, wait a minute, what can we do? What does it look like? Housing is hard. I was telling this to somebody the other day. It's probably one of the most difficult things you can do when it comes to the nonprofit side of it. It's not like we can just write a check. We're talking sometimes millions of dollars is what it takes to be able to put something together to do a development. It's not that simple.
Yeah.
So for us to coordinate with each other and to start working and all moving in the same direction for the county, it's going to make us so much stronger as a county, if we, especially economically, if we can move this needle forward and help more and more people find affordable housing and bring more people into the county.
Yeah. And then another big topic that we've got that we're going to have a discussion about is opioids. And Seth Dewey is going to come and speak with us about the opioid response and what's going on. And along that same line, we're going to have DVAC here. They're going to hand out naloxone. So there'll be free samples of that you can have at your home. You can have it in your car to help somebody who might be having a opioid response of some sort.
So you're saying that is something that people can have on hand at home or at their place of business. So if I'm having some kind of an overdose, that you can administer that.
If you observe somebody,
you can administer
and the thing
that.
about naloxone is it does not hurt you. If you give it to the person and that really wasn't what was going on with them, you haven't hurt them. But it is something to have on hand, and so we're going to be having a very frank conversation about opioids and what's going on in our county. Last year, Chief Golden came and he spoke about what was going on with fentanyl and kind of what they were seeing develop. And so this is just going to kind of carry that conversation on. We're also going to have a new state senator for McPherson County, Michael Faig. He is going to come and give us an update on what the government is doing, what they're going to be looking at for the state of Kansas for next year's session. What they're focused on, those kinds of things. So that'll be nice. It'll give everybody the opportunity to meet him in person, maybe have a brief conversation with him. And then Jennifer Burgard has been working with the McPherson Community Foundation to increase the number of child care providers for McPherson County. And she's going to come and talk with us about an update on what's happening there and hopefully answer people's questions on how do we get more child care providers, what do we do? You know, housing and child care are two of the largest situations that are facing people. And so I love being able to put all of these folks in the same room and talk about all of these issues that really impact everybody across our county. And it'll be an exciting day.
It's going to be a great day. We always have such great people coming. And you'll get to hear from us as well. We'll probably do some little thing in the beginning of it just to talk a little bit about what's happening, where we're going, what's going on with McPherson Housing Coalition. You know, we continually push forward with whatever we're doing, trying to help more and more people and provide services that are needed and missing in our county.
Did you know, Chris, we already have the registration out? Folks can go to our Facebook page, McPherson Housing Coalition, and they can find the registration for the conference. Or Joey told me that we now have it on our website as well. So McPhersonHousingCoalition.org would get them to a spot where they can find the registration link. I will remind you that it's $25 per individual person. That basically covers lunch and snacks for the day. And then we're telling everybody, please arrive by 8:30 so you don't miss out on anything. You know, we're going to finish the day around 3.
Yeah, and if you want a booth, maybe you have a business or a nonprofit or a government entity and you'd like to be part of that. So that's $40 for the nonprofit and $65 if you're a business, and we'd love to have you come. All of that money goes back into the conference. What we try to do is get sponsors and tables and all of that so we can keep those costs low, because we don't want anybody not to be able to attend the conference to hear these speakers because it costs too much.
Yeah.
So we really this year we lowered the price, and we're really trying to get more and more people to attend. So we really encourage you, please come, sign up early so we know how many people are coming. Don't wait till the last minute. Well, people always wait till the last minute.
Oh, I know. It's
like,
terrible.
don't wait till the last minute. Sign up. So we want to make sure that everybody that wants to come can come. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your teachers, anybody that you know that might have an interest in any of the things that we're talking about. Please come.
Yes. Well, you know what? I think we're at that time of the day. It's time to say goodbye. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
All right. See ya.